Good evening. Well, welcome to Bedtime Stories number 3, the third in a series of at least 3. Looks like things are going all right. The curve is flattening a little, as we think. It's too early to tell in Colorado, but we're hopeful. There's some good indications. The last 2 days there have been fewer new cases reported of the virus, so we're hopeful we will come through this, and I know we will come through this. But let's read something funny. What do you say? This is from the Phoenix Book of Modern American Humor. You can see it's still backwards. You can, because I shoot these things in selfie mode, so you can take your phone to the mirror and turn it around like always. And tonight's selection is entitled How to Swat a Fly by Will Cuppy. We've been going for a lot of walks and the weather's getting nice and warm, and it looks like there's going to be flies soon if they're not already around, so might as well get ready. So here's some instructions. 10 points on How to Swat a Fly by Will Cuppy. Will Cuppy was one of the better known of the mid-century humorists. This book was published in 1956, and this was when he was, Will Cuppy was making a lot of people laugh at that time. So with no further ado, How to Swat a Fly. Being as sound in mind and body as I am ever likely to be, I have decided to release my notes on fly swatting made from time to time during many years of active service at my Long Island beach house, Shea Cuppy. It's the same old place I used to call Tobacco Road, but I think the new name sort of lends a tone, and besides, it's a change. In the belief that fly swatting is here to stay for a while, DDT and other squirts to the contrary notwithstanding, I am passing the torch in 10 easy lessons, as follows. 1. Get set. Be sure you're not going to fall off your chair backwards in the act of swatting. Here, as elsewhere, style is everything. 2. Still, don't take too much time with the preliminaries. The fly won't wait forever. He has other things to do with his time. 3. Try to ascertain in some unobtrusive way whether the object you're after is actually a fly or a nailhead. Don't go poking at the things to see which it is. When in doubt, swat. Little situations like this are bound to occur in every swatter's routine. For instance, there is a small black spot on the ceiling of my bedroom that has embarrassed me dozens of times. It looks so exactly like a fly of some large and vicious species. If I have crept up on it once, oh well, stalking an imperfection in the paint and swinging one's heart out at a nailhead are not things one likes to remember, but perhaps they have their place in the give and take of daily living. We can't be heroes to ourselves every instant. 4. In any case, never flirt your swatter back and forth past a fly before swatting, expecting to get him your next time around. When you finally make up your mind to hit him, he will not be there. The fly who hesitates is lost. He knows this and acts accordingly. 5. Take aim quickly but carefully. A complete miss is not good for the morale, either yours or the fly's. 6. If possible, fix him with the first swat. Failure to do so may be serious. For one thing, you didn't get him. That alone is bad. Secondly, conditions will never be quite the same again, since you are now dealing with an alert and disillusioned fly. He is never going to trust you as he did before. He will avoid you in the future. That was one of the many faults of my dear Aunt Etta's swatting. She never hit her fly on the first time, and she seldom came anywhere near him on repeated attempts, partly because she employed that worst of all swatting techniques, the folded newspaper, or slow motion method. She would lunge at the fly again and yet again with her antiquated weapon in a free-for-all that left her exhausted and the fly in the best of health and spirits. A folded newspaper is only about 17% efficient in anybody's hands, and Aunt Etta's form was nothing to boast of. Her batting average must have been something incredible. I'm glad to state that she often thought she had won. Her eyesight wasn't too good either. I assure you that Aunt Etta was one of the kindest persons I've ever known. though not so soft about flies as my Uncle Toby, who did so much in his day to encourage the spread of typhoid fever and other diseases. There was certainly no sadistic urge in her swatting activities. She never engaged a fly in hand-to-hand combat until after she and we children had staged a ceremonious fly drive with kitchen aprons and dish towels, then a second and often a third to chase the last one out the open screen door. It was only the fly or flies who failed to respect these rights that she tackled. And it always amazed me that there would be any such. If we thought Aunt Etta had one of her headaches or felt a nap coming on or couldn't stand such a racket, in which case she would tell us so in no uncertain terms, we disappeared. We vanished utterly, with the usual gift of cookies. But flies are not brought up that way, apparently. They cannot take a hint. The family would want me to add that Aunt Etta's house was no more fly-ridden than any other home of the period. In fact, it was less so than most, as it was thoroughly screened. Which reminds me that she never did, to my knowledge, solve the riddle of how they got in. She was always saying there wasn't a crack where they could squeeze through. All right, then, how did the mouse get in? 7. Don't mind a little incidental breakage around the house. Aunt Etta was much too careful of her bric-a-brac. She wouldn't strike within yards of her whatnot when a fly took a sanctuary there. For the cause, I would smash anything in Will Cuppy to smithereens, except possibly my shaving mirror. I'm not having 7 years of bad luck for any fly. 8. Cultivate patience. It is a beautiful thing in itself, and when you are after a fly who will not light, you will need it. Eventually that fly will light, and 10 to 1 it will be in some dark, inaccessible corner down behind the stove. The fly who absolutely refuses to settle is a problem for advanced swatters, and not an easy one. Talk about a watched pot. Do not stalk such a fly too openly, but try to act as though you were interested in something else altogether. This involves looking wall-eyed at the fly while gazing fixedly in the other direction. But it can be done with practice. It is my opinion that a fly will not settle while you are looking straight at him with a swatter at your fist. At any rate, he won't while you are following him around the room, making passes at him. Believe me, he knows what you are up to. I would not go so far as to say that a fly knows the exact moment when you start looking for a swatter, if you should be caught without one. Edge yourself ever so casually in the general direction of a swatter and notice what happens. Other persons who may be present will simply wonder why you are hitching your chair along in that insane fashion or tiptoeing across the room with one groping hand outstretched and a haunted look in your eyes. They won't have the faintest notions of what goes on, but the fly will. He has already figured out his first 5 moves and several of yours. This does not necessarily prove that the fly is more intelligent than you are. If such things could be measured, and they will be someday, I have little doubt that you, gentle swatter, would be found to have a higher IQ than the average fly. You may be slow on the uptake, while the fly is unbelievably fast. His sheer brilliance in planning and executing maneuvers of every sort on the ground and in the air amounts to genius, and you have all you can do to keep from falling over your feet. You cannot make quick decisions, or if you do, you are generally dead wrong, as everyone in the office knows but yourself. The fly's decisions are mostly right, and they have to be. Yet, on the whole, taking it by and large and allowing for individual exceptions, you are smarter than the fly. You know more than he does about more things. Above all, you possess the power of abstract reasoning, a faculty which distinguishes mankind from the merely brute creation, such as flies. You can listen to the radio, look at television, and go to the movies. You can read mystery stories and try to guess who done it. Keep your chin up and always remember that if you are not the fly's superior in every single respect one might mention, you are at least his equal mentally. Since you are fighting on practically even terms, then, when you are after a fly who will not light, you must seek for a flaw in his intellectual equipment if you hope to regain the initiative, and I can help you there. The key is his imperfect memory. You can remember as far back as yesterday. The fly cannot. He forgets. The particular fly of whom we are speaking will be out of his dark corner in a few brief moments, and you can begin the whole show all over again. 9. Check up on yourself occasionally. Ask yourself, am I a better swatter than I was last year? The correct answer is no. 10. Don't be discouraged at a few failures. I don't always get them myself, but I give them pause. It makes them think. Happy spring, happy fly swatting, and good night.